But a man who knows the whys and wherefores of Washington pretty well is here to talk with us about it. David Brody, the chief political correspondent for the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, is here with us on the anchor desk. David, it's so good to have you here on America's Forum.
I am very excited to be in studio with both of you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. David, what about this threat of amnesty by executive order? Will the president move forward?
Absolutely. He's gonna move forward. I don't think there's any question about it. It is a nor'easter, and it's coming soon, probably before Thanksgiving. I think that's the sense, at least within Washington, within those circles, that's what you hear. That's the timetable right now.
And the sense within the country, if you will, people like us watching and listening and seeing this occur. What do you think the reaction will be, sir?
Well, I think there's a couple different reactions here. First of all, there's the Republican reaction, the conservative. You know quite a bit about the Republican reaction, which is they're going to say these two words. You're going to hear these words a lot: constitutional crisis. I mean, this is what they're going to say, and this is what they're already saying in Washington. Then there's the larger, broader, conservative, and quite frankly, independent reaction. When I say independent, the independent voter reaction. I mean, look how well Republicans did with independent voters just in the last midterm elections here. You're going to see more of those independents and those conservatives kind of come together a little bit more when it comes to the issue of whether or not this is A, constitutional, and B, if he's overstepped his constitutional bounds. So I think those are the parameters that I think we need to be looking for here.
And to that aforementioned constitutional crisis, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, in this lame duck session, what should they do?
In terms of immigration?
Yes, in terms of immigration, dealing with the president's threatened amnesty.
Well, they're not going to do anything right now. I mean, I think they're holding still for now, because obviously come January it'll be a different ballgame up in Washington. But beyond that, they're not coalescing around a plan right now. And I think they need to figure that out. Though I do believe that the consensus seems to be some sort of either separate lawsuit or an additional lawsuit to what they already have, not on the books, but about to happen as it relates to going after the president on constitutional authority. I think they're going to go down the legal avenue. Now, whether or not they can sustain and even have standing to bring a lawsuit is a whole other matter, but that's something, of course, we'll probably have to decide here soon.
And David, we had Chuck Todd on Newsmax TV, as you know, and he said we really don't know this president. What do you say to that?
I think it's pretty accurate.
It is, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, I think it's by design. I mean, this president really has had a very close inner circle, whether it be just Valerie Jarrett and a few others, but it's beyond just the inner circle. It's the way he is.
Because if you think about it, a lot of people that talk to us will say there was a connection, let's say with Reagan, there was a connection, let's say even with Clinton, but there seems to be no connection here.
There's no doubt about that, and I think part of the reason for that is that, once again, by design, because this is a president that really doesn't want to necessarily mingle and do the Washington scene. This is who he is. He's relatively reserved, believe it or not. A lot of people might think he's a little bit more flamboyant. He's not. I mean, he's very reserved. I've interviewed him 4 times, and I can tell you that he comes across in person, obviously very personably and very, very nice. But the issue with him is that he doesn't want to do the Washington scene, and I think that hurts him.
1 minute left in this particular segment. The Washington scene, again, the notion of executive amnesty. The term shutdown has been bandied about. And you talked about Republicans taking the legal route. Is it because the leadership is so frightened of that word shutdown?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the leadership is extremely frightened of that word, to the point where Mitch McConnell and others have come out and said, we're not going to shut down the government. I think the real issue, JD, Olga, is really what's going to happen short term with funding. I mean, I think this is the battle within Washington, the contours. In other words, do you go ahead and extend funding to fund the government 9 months to a year, or do you just fund it 3 months at a time to get more bargaining power with the president when you're trying to get certain deals done in Washington? Good luck with that.
So very interesting. You've laid out parameters of time and money. Well, that's kind of like television. Come to think, time is money.
Commercial break.
As a matter of fact,
I knew you were
going
to do that.
I have to find that right segue. David Brody, stay right there. More coming up with our conversation with our good friend from CBN here on America's Forum on Newsmax TV.